Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to cover Agile methodology. We'll go over the history of Agile development, what does Agile stand for, Manifesto for Agile development methodology, 12 principles that drive Agile development, team roles within Agile framework, advantages of Agile, challenges for Agile development, and then we'll finally sum up this tutorial with some of the good resources that may be of help to you. Now, before we discuss Agile in detail, let's compare it to some of the other methodologies available. So you may have heard of waterfall methodology. That has been really popular one up until a decade or so back. What happens is in the waterfall methodology, so it's a rigid methodology where all the different activities such as research and planning, requirements gathering, design of the architecture and the application, the actual software development, testing, user acceptance testing, all of those things take place in separate phases. There's no overlap. The scope is well defined, and that typically the release cycle is as long as, it could be 6 months or it could go up to a year. Why doesn't it work so well? There are a couple of challenges. It's not adaptive, it's predictive. So a lot of the times you may not even be fully aware of what the market requirements are, and you release the product to the customers. You give them that visibility very late in the process, and that's why Agile has come into prominence over the last decade or so, and it especially works well for startups where there's ambiguity around what the market requirements are. Then Agile also kind of suits well to SaaS development, because as we are going to discuss later on in this tutorial, the release cycles are short, but then what happens is you need to deploy the software, which can be a challenge with the older enterprise form of delivery, where if the product is deployed on customers' own servers and data centers, it's a lot of effort and maintenance to deploy. While in a multi-tenant SaaS environment, that is a very easier process. Then there's a third model which some organizations may have. It's a hybrid approach where it's a mix of waterfall and Agile methodology. So what happens is that if you have got really big ticket items where the scope is well defined and it could take like 6 months to a year or 3 months to build those, then you can keep working on those projects outside the Agile methodology. And then you can work on the short-term items, which could be features and bug fixes, and you can release them in an Agile framework in a week, 2 weeks, leading up to anywhere around sort of a month or so. In execution, how do you implement that? There are a couple of ways to do it. You could have something like feature toggles. So think of them as environment level locks, where essentially while you are working on the development or a particular bigger feature, if you don't want to release it, using that lock, you can keep it hidden from the end user. So while you can keep moving the code to production, users will not be aware of that functionality. You need to make sure that you don't release broken or half-baked code to the customers in this case. The second approach could be spinning up separate environments, where essentially you could do these big developments in a different development and testing environment. And once it's ready to go, you could merge it with the sort of the overall Agile development environment where you have been doing the incremental delivery. There are some examples of Agile methodologies. There are a lot of different underlying methodologies. As an example, Scrum, Kanban, XP. We are not going to cover all of those in detail in this tutorial. We recommend that you watch our other tutorials. There's a great tutorial that we have as an example for Scrum methodology. So what is Agile? Agile is an iterative, adaptive, and incremental development methodology. As discussed in the earlier section, with Agile, you don't have to work on different aspects of a project as well as, as an example, design, testing, development in separate phases. You can break down the overall scope of work into mini projects, into separate backlog items that you can work on independently. And in the shorter release cycles, a week to 2 weeks, you can pick a task and you can work on all the different aspects of it: development, testing, release. And so that allows you to release faster, be able to show the product to the customers, be able to improve upon the product, all the shortcomings that you typically associate with the waterfall methodology. Now, here's the Agile Manifesto, and we got this from Agile Alliance website. There are essentially four pieces here. The focus is more on the individuals and interaction. So the focus is more around how the team members work with each other. You interact with the team members closely on a day-to-day basis, and you work with everyone across the board, be it the product owner, be it, as an example, the project lead, the actual development team, or the customers or the stakeholders. There's more focus on the working software, so building the software, releasing it out faster, putting it in front of the customer, and that's you focus more on that compared to waterfall, where you try to build everything as per the original scope, try to document everything, and then roll out the final product to the customers, and then they pretty much have little to no scope in terms of providing their feedback. Customer collaboration is welcomed in Agile framework. So you can bring in the customers or the stakeholder, you display them the product earlier on during, as you release the product faster, you get their feedback, incorporate that into sort of the next iteration and responding to the change, because the overall Agile framework is incremental. It allows you to respond to a change a lot better compared to the traditional methodologies. Now let's take a look at the 12 principles that drive Agile methodology. Most of them are self-explanatory, but let's quickly go over them. The first one, the focus is always to satisfy the customer, so getting the product out, getting their feedback. You always welcome change. Agile methodology is adaptive. You focus on delivering working software frequently. Think of release cycles, 1 week, 2 weeks. Uh, the stakeholders, business people and developers should work with each other. And that happens pretty much within all Agile methodologies, where you get the feedback from the stakeholders. You have to build projects around motivated individuals. So respect is important, where each of the team member, be it the product owner, be it the project lead or the sponsor or the actual executioners, the development team members, there's mutual respect. They all know what they're doing. They're confident around it. There's focus on face-to-face communication, and I know in today's day and age that's not always possible, but it could be face-to-face communication through, as an example, perhaps through video chat with remote teams. But you do that, as an example, with daily stand-ups. Uh, the biggest KPI for progress is the working software. So you look at the backlog, you look at the velocity, you look at the burn down. Those are the key metrics. Agile processes work with sustainable development. So teams, as an example, the execution teams, the development teams, they need to be sustainable. They need to be organizing. Every team member should know what they're doing, what their role is. Attention to technical excellence and quality should always be the focus. So quality should never suffer. As an example, simplicity is important. And what that means is you keep things simple, you break tasks down into simpler things. And by that way, during any iteration cycle, you're not working on everything. And based on the feedback, you always figure out there might be follow-up items that you may not even need to work on. So you cut down on the work that you do not need to work on. And the architecture, requirements, design, everything is done as part of the organizing teamwork. So all those team members who are executing know what they're doing. And finally, you should be able to improve your processes. So as an example, in Scrum, at the end of every sprint, you have sprint review. You see how you did, what's the kind of work you released. You demo it to the stakeholders. But then more importantly, you also have sprint retrospective. So you're able to reflect upon how the overall processes are going and is there any scope for improvement. Now let's take a look at the four key team roles within Agile framework. The titles of these team roles may vary based on what methodology you're using. As an example, Scrum versus Kanban. So the first role is the team lead, and it may be called, as an example, project lead in one methodology versus Scrum Master in Scrum methodology. And the role of this person is to provide overall oversight to make sure all the processes are working fine, all the resources are getting assigned, and that's the role of the team lead. Then you have product owner, and the role of product owner is essentially to work on all the requirements, to act as the voice of the customer, to make sure the requirements are well documented, and then work with the development teams to make sure the estimates are done and the release cycles are planned and the everything gets rolled out. Then we have the team, which is essentially the execution part of it. The team is developers, testers, people who are doing documentation. This is a self-organizing, sustaining team who understand the methodology, and they need little to no effort sort of on a day-to-day training basis. So no one needs to tell them what Agile is, what Scrum is. And then finally, you have the stakeholders. So as mentioned earlier, with the Agile methodologies, you do get stakeholders involved early on in the process. So it could be at the time of the planning where you're working on the feature design, or alternatively, when you release the features at the end of a release cycle, you get the stakeholders involved to make sure that you're building the right product. Let's quickly touch upon the advantages of Agile. As discussed earlier, Agile is adaptive. So you release faster and you get the customer feedback, and then you're able to improvise based on that. The quality is always the top focus, and we discussed that. It comes from the 12 principles that we mentioned earlier. Productivity, as an example, you're releasing faster, you're focused on the things that you're supposed to work on at any given point of time. And then because you get the feedback from the market, you always know what is valuable to the market, and you can cut down on a lot of the work that is not required. You're always customer focused. You get the product out early, you get the customer feedback, and as a result, you're rolling out the product that provides value to the customer. Let's take a look at some of the challenges in terms of Agile methodology adoption. Sometimes it could be hard to implement, especially in larger organizations. Behavioral change is not easy, but then in addition to that, it's not easy to train all the different teams and different team roles so they can work in a sustaining fashion. Secondly, because the Agile teams are working on shorter release cycles and broken down backlog items, they don't always know what is the broader focus of the overall scope of work, and you can sometimes lose the sight of it. And finally, sometimes it's a challenge to find the right resources. As an example, Scrum Master or Certified Scrum Product Owner. And because you don't have the right resources, the overall quality of development and output in terms of the Agile methodology implementation suffers. Before we wrap up this tutorial, here are the links to some really good resources. As an example, we got the Agile Manifesto and Principles from Agile Alliance website. They also have a great link to the Agile glossary, where you can take a look at pretty much all the terms in terms of, how do you run sprints, backlog items, velocity, burn down, different team roles, their explanation. Because remember, Agile is a high-level framework, and within that you could have Scrum, Kanban, all those different kind of methodologies. And finally, you can watch our other tutorials if you want to learn about Scrum in detail, you want to learn about Kanban as an example in details. Those are separate tutorials. We really recommend that you watch those. So that sums up this tutorial. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any feedback or suggestions, please put that in the comment section of the video, or alternatively submit your feedback at launchpad.com. Thank you.